All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to try and crack open what is basically the instruction manual for every living thing on Earth, DNA. And that really brings us to the central mystery here.
So what is this secret code? I mean, how can one simple molecule hold the entire story of you, a tree, a mushroom, you name it? That's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Okay, so first things first. Let's start with the big picture. What is DNA's role? Think of it as the master blueprint for, well, for all of life.
So, what is this stuff? DNA, or, get ready for it, deoxyribonucleic acid, is the genetic material you'll find in pretty much all living things. The best way to think about it is like an incredibly detailed blueprint. But it's not just for the design of the building. It has every single instruction for how to build it, how to maintain it, and even how to make perfect copies of it. It's the code for life itself.
You know, every code is made of an alphabet, right? So let's take a look at the surprisingly simple four-letter alphabet that's used to write the entire story of life.
Okay, so the letters of this alphabet, they're called nucleotides. These are the fundamental units, kind of like the individual Lego bricks that you use to build that enormous, complex structure of DNA. If we want to understand the language, we have to start with the letters.
And what's so cool is that each one of these letters is built from just three simple parts. You've got a phosphate group, a five-sided sugar, which in DNA is called deoxyribose, and then, this is the really important part for the code, a component called a nitrogenous base.
And this is where that alphabet comes in. There are only 4 types of these bases in DNA: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine, or, what we really call them, A, T, C, and G. That's it. Every single instruction, every gene, every one of your traits is written using just those 4 letters. Incredible, right?
Okay, so we've got our letters, but how do they get put together into a structure that can actually hold all this information? Well, it turns out they form this really elegant structure that we often call the DNA ladder.
See, these nucleotides don't just float around randomly. They are linked together in a long, incredibly strong chain. The sugar of one nucleotide connects to the phosphate of the next one, forming this really powerful bond. This creates what's known as the sugar-phosphate backbone. It's what gives the whole DNA molecule its structure and makes it so durable.
Now, it's worth mentioning that DNA has a molecular cousin called RNA. And looking at RNA really helps put DNA's structure in perspective. DNA, you see, is like a durable, two-stranded library built for long-term storage. RNA, on the other hand, is usually just a single strand, a temporary copy. It uses a slightly different sugar, and it swaps out one of the bases. It uses something called uracil, or U, instead of thymine. So you can think of RNA as the quick, disposable note you scribble down from the master blueprint. Its job is to carry one specific instruction, and then poof, it's gone. This role as a messenger is absolutely crucial for actually reading DNA's code.
So we know DNA has 2 strands, right? But what's actually holding them together? This brings us to what might be the most elegant and most important secret in all of biology.
Yeah, this was the puzzle that totally stumped scientists for years. They knew there were 2 of these backbones, but how did they connect? What was the glue holding the 2 sides of the ladder together? The answer? Well, it would change science forever.
The biggest clue came from a scientist named Erwin Chargaff. He was analyzing DNA from all sorts of different creatures, and he found this really bizarre pattern. No matter what he looked at, the amount of A always seemed to equal the amount of T, and the amount of G always equaled the amount of C. This observation, which we now call Chargaff's rule, was the key that unlocked the whole thing.
And the solution, it turned out, was just beautifully simple. Adenine on one strand always pairs up with thymine on the other, and cytosine always pairs up with guanine, A with T, C with G, every single time. It's like the secret handshake of DNA.
So these 2 strands are held together by something called hydrogen bonds, which are actually much weaker than the bonds holding the backbone together. And this is just a work of genius design, really. It means the ladder is super strong along its sides, but the rungs in the middle can be gently unzipped whenever the cell needs to read the code or, make a copy of itself.
Okay, so now that we get the structure, let's just take a second to appreciate the sheer scale of the information this little molecule can hold. It is truly a library of cosmic proportions.
I mean, just wrap your head around this number. The longest single chromosome in your body, that's chromosome number 1, is one single DNA molecule made of about 249 million of these nucleotide letters, all strung together in a perfect, precise sequence. And remember, that's just one of your 46 chromosomes.
And get this, if you took all the DNA from just one of your cells and you stretched it all out, end to end, it would be about 2 meters long. Yeah, 2 meters of data-rich code packed into a space so tiny you need a powerful microscope just to see it. It is by far the most efficient information storage system we know of.
So how does it store so much information? It's because the information isn't in the letters themselves, it's in their sequence. It's just like how the order of letters in a book creates words and sentences and entire stories. The order of A, T, C, and G creates genes. And because basically any sequence is possible, the capacity for storing information is practically limitless. And that is what allows for the absolutely breathtaking diversity of life we see all around us.
This brings us to our final and, maybe the most profound point of all. This code, it isn't just for humans or for trees or for bacteria. It really is one code to rule them all. This is one of the most powerful and amazing facts in all of biology. The genetic code is universal. What that means is you can take a gene from a jellyfish, you can stick it into a bacteria, and that bacteria will read the code and build the jellyfish protein no problem. The same 3-letter words specify the same building blocks in basically every organism on the planet.
And the implication of this is just staggering. I mean, why would a tiny bacterium and a giant elephant share the exact same genetic dictionary? The most compelling, really the only, explanation is that we all inherited it from a single, common ancestor way, way back in the history of life on this planet. We are all, quite literally, reading from the same ancient book. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. If every living thing, from the smallest microbe to the biggest blue whale, is written in the exact same 4-letter alphabet and it follows the same grammatical rules, what does that really tell us about our connection to everything else and about our single, shared origin story? Thanks for letting us explain.